record on this computer. Hello, happy Monday. It's May 9th. It is Sandra Dobek's daddy's birthday. Like, that's worth celebrating. I love your dad. We talk every day. It's very hot in Texas today on his birthday. He was going to get out into the garden tonight when it cooled off a little. If any of you have dads that need someone to chit chat during the day, I'm your girl. I'm tight with Sandra's dad. Okay, so earlier today, and you guys, let me tell you about today. You've probably seen my face enough that you're sick of it because I have seen this camera a lot today. But earlier today at 3 o'clock, we did a StreamYard called Champagne Problems, and we were talking about setting boundaries and learning to say no and learning to respect people's no's. And in true Tammy fashion, we kind of went in with one thing, but then all of a sudden I was like, ding. And so if you caught that today, you heard me talk about your calendar and how your calendar can literally be your boundary, to where you don't even have to think about how to set a boundary because you have the boundary in black and white. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my calendar situation. It'll be a little glimpse into my brain. I apologize ahead of time for that. But I also am going to give you some tips about ways that you can use your calendar to the fullest, because I know a lot of people are like, I have my planner, here we go. And then they're like, I use it, but it doesn't work, or I open it, or you know, I've had it now for months and it's on the shelf. So we're going to talk about some tips like that. But at first, let me explain to you that it is probably going to require more than one calendar in your life. I know everybody wants the ultimate planner. They want to have everything that's in that one spot. And you're going to have some of that. You're going to have kind of a main one, but it's okay to have more than one calendar. And let me explain that to you. So when you go to work, like for those of you that work outside the house, when you get into work, you probably have a calendar or a routine or a schedule, something that you follow at work. So for example, my calendar at Fitness for You is broken up into half hours and hours, and it shows who I'm training when, right? So that calendar exists there. I don't need to know all that information at home. I need to know what hours I'm supposed to show up and when I get done, but I don't need to know all the people's names in the moment, right? And then we also have a bin boss calendar. Same thing. It tells us whose house we're going to on what day and what time we're going to go. We might need that calendar between the hours of 11 a.m. and 4 p.m., but that's the only time we need it. You know, we don't need to be carrying that around all the time. And then I have my calendar where I keep track of maybe what Zoom I'm supposed to be on. Like today's calendar, obviously there was more Zooms or StreamYards or whatever the hell I can even keep track of. There was, I needed to send off a bill. I needed to deliver some food to a friend who just had surgery. I needed to make a special post. So like that calendar has my to-do list off to the side, and to the left is the calendar where it's 8:45 dermatology, 9:30, 10:30, noon. Like these were all my like meetings or Zooms that we had. So even in that calendar, I have a to-do list. So however you end up structuring it is up to you, but please don't think that everything is going to get you in one calendar. For those of you that work outside of your home, I encourage you, and you probably already have, a work calendar. When you get to work and you sit down at your desk, you have your to-do list and you probably have a calendar. Who are you meeting with? Is there a staff meeting at this time? Like, and you don't bring that home with you. You don't need it. At home, you just need to know that I'm at work between these hours and this hour, right? Like you have that structure. What I want to talk about though, is how you're going to be able to use that structure and make the best of it. Because there's a lot of time during your day that people are not utilizing. And a lot of you are getting better about it. But for example, the thing we were talking about today on that StreamYard that made me think this was going to be a good topic for us was, you know, somebody reaching out to you and saying, well, hey, will you do a live with me? And you might get that panicky moment like, oh gosh, how do I tell them no? If your calendar is set up and ready, and it's like, I knew this morning that from 6 a.m. to 7:30, I just call it work. That's what I just call Fitness for You work. Like I work all day at lots of places. That's what I call it. And then I knew I had until 8:45 to be at the dermatologist. So I knew from 7:30 to 8:45, I had a chunk of time open. So then I have my to-do list right next to that chunk of time. What are the things that I knew that I could get done in that short period of time before I had to leave my house? So one was I started to load of laundry. One was I ate breakfast. Yes, I actually wrote that in my calendar to make sure I did that before I left for the dermatologist, because I knew if I didn't, I would not have breakfast today. And so then it was drive home. Well, on the drive home, I had out here to the side a Zoom that I wanted to listen to on my drive. On my drive there, I actually was in a lot of voice clips, which don't tell the state highway patrol that, because I was being careful, but I was obviously, it's hooked up to my car. You know what I'm saying? So what I want to do is give you some tips about using your calendar and not letting those moments pass. Like, there are a lot of people who are like, well, when I get off work tonight, I've got to get the kids to the soccer field at 7. Okay, well, if you get off work at 5 and you're not getting the kids to the soccer field until 7, and I'm not saying you're not busy, I know you are. I want to talk about what's happening between 5 and 7. How are you handling between 5 and 7? Do you already know on your calendar what you're going to do between 5 and 7? Or do you look down and go, oh, I can do a live at 6:30 because I don't have to be to the field till 7. And then when the moment happens, you're in a frantic because, oh my God, you got to drive 20 minutes to the soccer field. So you only have 10 minutes to do the live and you're all disheveled because you didn't have your calendar. Does anybody feel my pain? Like, are you can I get an amen? Does anyone have that feeling where they think they can do something, but they can't because they weren't truly connected to their calendar? So what I want to talk about with your calendar, and I'm specifically referring to your life/thrive calendar, because here's the thing. Oh, I got to open the chat. Totally get that. Yes. When I look at my Lavelle business, because I own that business, right? And you all own your business. My Lavelle job goes on my life calendar because that is my life. I own this business, right? I co-own a couple businesses with my husband and we have separate calendars for that. And we're always checking each other's calendar. But I don't have that in my life calendar. My life calendar has things like a Zoom, a doctor's appointment. You got to get got to send out this sample to this person, like that kind of stuff. That's in my life calendar. So when I'm looking at what I call my life calendar, the first thing you have to do is know your goals. You cannot construct your day, your week, your month if you don't know your goals. If you're looking at your month and you're like, wow, I've got this whole month. Okay, what are you going to do? You don't know. Things are going to get on your calendar that don't belong there and that don't support your goals. So for example, if you were riding high last month and you got 18 requests to do lives from other people, from other teams, and you say, yeah, because I have all this time, and you start filling that up, your calendar now reflects other people's goals, not your goal. So the first thing you have to know is, what is your goal? Well, my goal when it comes to my life calendar is to make some damn money. Okay. We don't get paychecks. We live off of commission checks in this house. And so if you're awake and breathing, you better be making some damn money. That's welcome to my world. Welcome to Tom's life. That's right. He married this. So when I'm looking at my calendar, I'm trying to find the chunks of time where I can be making some money. And how do we make money and thrive with our life and thrive? This bad boy right here. This is not your calendar. This is your checklist. This is one of your to-do lists that needs to have time in your calendar allotted to it. Okay. So in addition to my calendar, I have a list, and the way my planner, calendar, whatever is set up, it has the day and the times on the left. And then on the right-hand side, it says to do. Okay. So for example, on to do today, it said post about the 4 kids in the camp restarting, but then Samantha did it. So I could check that off my list. That already happened. It said pay the Chamber of Commerce for the Ben Boss. These are things I have to do today. They have to get done. And then I can, when I'm looking at my calendar and I see the open time, I can get that done because I have that list. And what other list is always next to my calendar? My 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So have lists like your daily routine, your to-do list, maybe a list of people to contact, which to me would be your 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then maybe even your planner where you're just planning out, like, for those of you doing locals, you might have in your, like today might be the day that you send out the invitation for your local. Tomorrow might be the day that you double check that everything is in your box to take to the local. Then tomorrow night might be your local. So that would be part of your planner. That's what I didn't immediately agree to that live because I had to get my other stuff scheduled in. Yes, exactly. And here's the other thing, and you guys have heard this a bunch. It's a famous quote from Mark Twain. It's also now famous from Brian Tracy. Eat the frog. When you're looking at your calendar and you're looking at all the shit you have to get done for the day, like your lists that have to be combined into your calendar, do the hard shit first. Do it early. Trust me. We would all love to wake up and skate through the day, but you all know no one knows what's going to happen once your day gets started. So, we have these really badly behaved animals and they get us up at ungodly hours. After we deal with them and I have my Thrive, I immediately climb back into bed and I do my 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 in the morning before I even get in the shower and get dressed to go to my job, my outside of the house job. To me, that's eating the frog. Because once the day starts and maybe we have a StreamYard and maybe I have a couple clients to train, and then maybe I have people from the morning that I've done my 5, 4, 3, 2, 1s with, now they're messaging me back and I want to be able to respond to that. If I wait until the end of the day to finish that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I'm going to be dreading it. It's going to become a big chore when it should have been something awesome. Like right before I sat down to do this Zoom, one of the gals that I reached out to at 5 o'clock this morning just wrote me back. Little tip. She had an auto ship set up for tomorrow and it was only for her capsules. And so I sent her a message and said, hey, I see your auto ship is set up for your capsules tomorrow. I have a free shipping coupon, but it's for $100 or more. Is there anything you might want to add to your auto ship? She just wrote me back tonight and said, I added a box of shakes. I'm over the $100. How do I get the coupon? So I just went in and gave her the credits. I said, make sure it's, set to enable. And that's what we were doing right when you guys got on the Zoom. So again, had I waited until the end of the day to send that message to her, it would be too late, right? So I do my shit early. To me, that's eating the frog. If it was tax season, don't talk to me about eating the frogs because I hate that frog. The other thing you have to learn to use your calendar effectively is what Sandra talked about. You have to learn the word no. When you have so much stuff on your calendar that connects to your goals, so if your goal is building your business, you're going to have things on your calendar like doing lives with promoters to talk about the business opportunity. You're going to have 30-minute chunks to do my reach outs today. You're going to have 30-minute chunk to listen to a Zoom. You're going to be so busy with that stuff when somebody comes at you and asks you, hey, could you be in charge of the PTA booth on Friday? You can immediately, maybe it's something you're interested in doing, but you can immediately look at your calendar and go, you know what, I'm sorry, on Friday, I'm already booked during that time, ask me for another thing. Versus being like, well, I could maybe do it if I push back this that I was going to do for my work, which by the way, pays your bills, then maybe I could do that. Yeah. Do you see what I'm saying? If you have it in black and white and you have it on your calendar, you're going to keep your goals first and foremost. And that is what's going to take your business forward, not dropping things at, what is it, at the drop of the hat, giving something up to go. Sandra, what do you say? Putting yourself on fire to light. What do you say? Unmute.
There's no point in lighting yourself on fire to keep everybody else warm.
Yes. I love when she says that. I need that on my wall. And you guys, you're going to have that. You're going to have those tendencies. You're going to have a new promoter who you're going to be like, oh my God, I'll give her my left arm. This is it. Let's run. We're VIP. Let's do all the things. But you have to remember, you got that new promoter because you had a calendar that you were sticking to and working your business. I'm not saying you're not going to work with that new promoter, but you're not going to drop everything for that one person. And if anyone on here has ever dropped everything for one person who then ghosted him 2 months later, say amen. Amen. Right? So you have to keep your priorities and goals first. The other thing that's really important when you're to me, I call it working my calendar. When I am working in my calendar, I try to avoid distractions as much as possible. And this little booger right here, it's the worst. So I literally will have to set it aside. I'll put it out in the dining room. I will do something to get it away from me. And I will make sure I'm not logged into Facebook because that ding on the messenger, I'm like that dog that when he hears the ding, he runs to it. Like I get excited when I hear, because I'm like, what could it be? Oh, it could be a customer. Somebody could be. So I have to turn all that shit off so I can work in my calendar and make sure I'm on task. Otherwise, stuff that is supposed to mean something to you, stuff that you have planned to move your business forward, it will get lost. Pavlov's dog. Yes, that is me. Sorry, my own handwriting. Hang on. Oh. So the other thing, when you have that calendar and you have your goals and you have your responsibilities and you have all those things filled in, that's when you can start to identify your downtime. So like I said, if you had looked at my calendar this morning, you'd have been like, wow, you don't have any downtime today. And physically, time-wise, I didn't. However, I had a 20-minute drive to the dermatologist. I had a 20-minute drive home from the dermatologist, right? And you can ask my poor husband. I had like a 15-minute lunch break, and that means YouTube was on. I love habit stacking. If I have to drive somewhere, I'm going to listen to a Zoom. Or a podcast. That is just how I like. It's what keeps me moving and keeps me motivated and keeps my brain full. So if I'm going to get on Zooms all day and pour into people, I have to be doing something for myself also, right? I want to keep getting educated. For those of you that are in boot camp with us, I have homework too. I have to be listening to all the Zooms and the lives and the calls. And so to me, instead of looking at that and being like, I am so busy today, I'm never going to be able to listen to a call. No, girl, you got 20 minutes in the car. That's the perfect time to listen to a call. But catch this most important part. You have to look at your calendar the night before. If I had waited until I got in the car to start heading to the dermatologist to be like, I'm going to listen to a Zoom. I'm going to have to, what Zoom am I going to listen to? Maybe I should pull up a podcast. I don't know. Hell, now I'm at a stoplight. Oh, now you know what, the radio's on. Now I'm answering a text call. You have to plan it out. You have to know when you wake up in the morning what your day is going to hold. And don't lose me yet. I promise you're going to have some time to yourself. But you have to make use of that. Just like, for example, when I knew I was coming home and I was going to have this 30, circle back. If you've got big goals, you have to make this a priority. Yes, exactly. And you know, you're going to have other priorities in your life. So for me, obviously growing my business is number one. Number two is having a nice, clean home. And I prefer to wear clean clothing. And so when I see on my calendar that I have a 30-minute break between a client and my next thing I'm supposed to do, I put in a load of laundry. If I don't write that on my calendar, if I don't go, you know, tomorrow I'm going to throw in a load of laundry, the laundry won't go in. I will answer a message. I will do something. I know myself. I will. So I identify these things. Now, to me, I know based on my calendar, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I have a 30-minute break after my 7:30 client. So now it's not necessarily in my calendar as much as it's part of my daily routine, which is one of those lists that I said you need to develop so you can refer back to. I know on my daily routine, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 5:30 in the morning, before I walk out the door, I put in a load of laundry so that when I come home at 7:30, I take it from the washer and put it in the dryer. Yes, I'm telling you way too much about my life and getting very specific, and I'm not asking you to live this way. I'm just trying to show you how you can get so much shit done if you are intentional with every minute you're given. Also, we will get to the part where I have downtime, where I go to dinner with friends, where I have a cocktail on the patio, but I can't do that shit if I didn't do my laundry earlier in the week, right? So it's very specific, but if you start developing you all have a morning routine, whether you like it or not, you all have one. You've established it some way, some shape, somehow. Some of you, maybe you're very mindful when you first wake up and you're doing a devotional. For me, I literally wake up and start yelling at the dogs and take them out to pee and feed them. And then I get back into the bed to do my work. But you have to do what works for you, and you have to put it in the time slot that works for you. But if there are like when somebody says to me, I just didn't have time to do my reach outs today because the kids' laundry wasn't done and I needed to thaw out, you know, I needed to get something made for dinner. Okay, I understand that challenge. I honestly, truly do. We operate a lot of businesses. We have a lot of balls in the air, but because of all those balls in the air, I'm very specific with what I do. That is why every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, you will find a load of laundry in the washing machine getting moved over at 7:30 into the dryer before I have to go back into my next thing. That's how I get that done. Join the Zoom here at the nursing home while my mother is finally resting. Good. See, habit stacking. She's doubling up there. So here are the 4 Ds for your calendar that you need to think about anytime you're getting ready to write something on your calendar. Number 1, delete. Does it really need to be done? How much shit are you doing during the day that doesn't really need to be done? How many fires are you starting to keep other people warm? Okay. Number 2, delegate. What's on your calendar that somebody else in your home could be doing? Have you guys ever reached out to your significant other or your child and said, you know what? I have this really big goal I'm working on. It would help me tremendously if you would move the clothes from the washer to the dryer. It would help me tremendously if you could run the vacuum tonight. Delegating those little tasks that someone else can do so you can spend your time in a business that could make you millions of dollars. What's more important, teaching your kid to run the vacuum cleaner and learning that they can also contribute to you earning $1 million? Delegate. And this goes to people on your team. When somebody asks you questions, can you do this? Can you do that? I used to be horrible about that. Hey, Tammy, what ingredient is in this? I would stop what I was doing. I would pull up the box or the thing. I would find the ingredient. I would Google all about it. I don't have any of that shit up here. I was having to stop what I was doing and do that. And now I say, you know what? I don't know, but you can find that in the PDF. You can Google that. You can look at those ingredients. Their priority is not my priority in the moment. Yes, we want to help the customer, but I'm going to teach them to fish versus fishing for them. I'm going to delegate that back to them. Okay. Number 3, defer. Is there something you're trying to get done today that you really don't have to get done today? Are you putting something extra on your list that you don't need? A lot of you already have very busy calendars and you're just adding shit to it. And that goes back to the saying no. It also goes back to developing the morning routine. If you're discovering every weekend you are scrambling to get all the laundry done and you're not able to focus on your business, you need to defer it. You need to start doing it earlier in the week, spreading those tasks out. I don't think they're on here because I'm looking at the faces, but the people who wait until Sunday to do their entire 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then they tell you how it's too much work and they can't get it done. Nobody responds to them, blah, 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 blah. If you're treating some of your tasks like that in your life, you need to start deferring things out, like spread those things out. Don't try to do everything at once. And the last D, are you ready for this one? Do it. There's probably something on your list that needs to be done. It's holding you back. It's showing up every damn day. Do it. So you're going to have those, you're either going to delete things, you're going to delegate things, defer them, or spread them out, or just do them. Also, when you're looking at your calendar and you're looking at those time blocks, like I said, you've got that block between, say you're getting off work at 5, you're not taking the kids to the ball field till 7. I bet you have to feed people, right? But I bet you have to drive home from work. So in that time chunk, what could you be doing? To me, that's the time to listen to Zoom, so on and so forth. That you can still drive and eyes on the road. If you knew that was happening tonight between 5 and 7 and you were going to be really busy getting the kids ready, did you sometime earlier in the day either delegate that the kids have all of their sports equipment or clothes or whatever laid out if they're of that age that they can handle that? Or did you have it on your calendar that morning that everything needed to be laid out? Or did you have it on the night before? The gloves have to be out. The pants have to be washed. it's a blue uniform tonight, not the white one. Is that one going to be clean by tomorrow? If you have that written out, you can plan ahead. That's why once you really start using your calendar, you'll be surprised how much time you spend in your calendar. You'll be looking for what's coming ahead so that you can make sure today is everything it needs to be to make sure that tomorrow can be everything it's going to be. But in time blocks, so let's say you're like, okay, you know what, Tammy, I have noon to 1 every day that I'm going to dedicate to my Lavelle business. For me, it's usually 5 to 6 a.m. that I'm looking at my 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm sorry, 5 to 5:30 a.m. looking at my 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's a lot of damn numbers right there. I apologize. My brain is wigging out. In that time block, I say, it says 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, I'm not going to do both of my reels. I'm not going to post them first thing in the morning. I'm not going to make both of my posts in all of my stories in the morning, right? That some shit has to be spread out. So when I look at that in the morning and it says 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, that's my reach outs, that's my follow up, and that's my adding 2 friends. And it's and again, so the time chunk tells me what I'm doing, but then there's a list, there's a routine that goes with that. So for every time chunk you start establishing, you're going to want to start with establishing a list that goes with it. Some of it will be, like some people just know every Tuesday afternoon I run my errands. Well, what does that mean? If you really think about it, you could say, well, I always go to the bank first, then I circle through the post office, then I run up to the pharmacy and I get this for my mom. And then I always swing by Kroger. And then on my way home from Kroger, I stop and get gas. Like you already know. You don't even realize it, but you already know. You have a time chunk and you really already have a list that goes with it. It's that same concept, but it's dealing with your business or it's dealing with your house. It's being so specific with the time that you have. And you guys, group tasks. Group the heck out of your tasks. If you are going to do Happy Mail, don't do one today and then one tomorrow and then one the next day and then 2 the next day. Oh my Lord, sit down and send out your Happy Mail. Write it out. Make one trip to the post office. Make one trip to buy the stamps. One time you're going to go through the box of cards. One time you're going to block that time to sit and do the Happy Mail for the week. If you spread it out and you have to, maybe you're sending a box, I don't know, not a box. Maybe you're sending a padded envelope on a Tuesday. Well, you got to go take that to the post office. But maybe on Wednesday, you can just leave it in the mailbox. Like, you know what I mean? Like group your tasks. that way also, like how, it's just like what, like the whole thing I said, when you run errands, that's grouping your tasks, right? You're starting the car, you're driving somewhere, you're going to drive all the places in kind of an order, and then you're going to come back. You group that. It's the same thing with your business. If I'm going to sit down and do my reach outs, I'm not also going to try to do a reel at the same time. I'm not also going to check my messenger. So when you guys are sitting and you're doing your reach outs and you're sending messages to people, do not pay attention when your phone dings that a message has come back. Or I should say a message has come in. If you're in the middle of sending reach outs and you start responding to the dings in that moment, you will never get all your reach outs done. You have to be in sending mode in that time chunk. And then later in the day or 15 minutes later, you can be in receiving mode. If I'm sending a reach out to 3 people and then all of a sudden I get a ding and I'm like, oh, maybe it's one of my people responding, but it's not, it's Samantha. And she's got something that we need to do for boot camp. I just know myself. I'm going to start working on that. I'm going to forget that I only got my 3 reach outs done. I'm going to have to do them later. But if I just stay in my reach out zone, stay in that curious mindset, stay in that I'm asking questions, I'm sending messages, I'm talking to new people. When I'm done with that, then I can go in and I can answer all of the messages that are sitting there waiting on me. But if you toggle back and forth between those tasks, you're going to cost yourself time and you're going to wear your brain out. And last, which this is probably the thing you never thought I was going to talk about, you have to schedule time for you. There is a reason that I like to be so structured with all the stuff that I do, because if the time comes, say on a Saturday afternoon or a Tuesday night, if I can have 2 hours of solid time of I'm going to meet my friend for lunch, or I'm going to watch a movie with Tom. Like, how many of you try to do those things, but then you're like, oh, I really need to get this done, or I should have gotten that done, or I'm running behind on this, and you're not in the moment. That's why it's so important to have your calendar. So when you get that time, you can have that time. You can be in the moment doing whatever it is. Sandra says, I asked Charlie to make the bed yesterday and it flipped him out. He never makes the bed. I think after all these years of marriage, that was an awesome thing to delegate. So yeah. So I know this was a lot, and I know it might sound confusing that you might, she wants me to have a calendar and all these lists. I promise you, you already have things in a list up here. You just don't think about it. So start catching yourself in that list. Like the list I said, like when you run errands and you go here, here, and there. And maybe there are tasks where you're like, oh, wow, she's right. When I'm doing my reach outs, I also answer messages instead of just staying on task. You're already doing these things, but it's a matter of taking the time to sit down and really think about it. And when I say planner, you guys, it doesn't have to be a fancy, calendars and planners are nothing but paper with ink on them. Some of them have squares, some of them have lines. Guess what? So does a notepad. If you need to, just start a notebook sheet every day, and it can say, here's my time chunks of what I'm going to get done today, and here's my to-do list of what I need to happen today. And you can work those things into your time chunks. But so don't get caught up. I know everyone looks for the magic planner that's going to save their life. If you find one, please do let me know. But I have never found one. And as soon as I find a planner that I'm like, that's working really good, my life changes and I need something different. But no matter what planner I'm using, I always go back to, here's my calendar with my set appointments, my set meetings, my set Zooms, my, I'm at this location for this time. And then that's how I see my open times. And that's how I decide when I'm going to wake up. That's how I decide when I'm going to go to bed. That's how I decide what I'm going to do in between. And then it's from the to-do list or the routine list. Like I bet every night, no matter what time you get ready for bed, you guys all brush your teeth, right? Some of you probably have a skincare routine. Some of you might lay out your clothes. Some of you might, so every night I take the pillows off the bed. I put them over on the floor on the left. I have a whole routine that I do. It's just an ongoing list in my head. You're operating like that also, but the more diligent you can get with your list or your routine, the better you're going to be able to use your calendar to truly, you're going to be surprised how much time you find where you can actually have some downtime versus always running around feeling like you're late or you're behind. So that's all I have for tonight. I know that was a lot. Does anyone have questions or comments?
I do.
Oh, hit me with it.
My only thing is when you do make a list, it feels really good to check it off.
Oh, yes.
The satisfying feeling of checking things off your list. I actually had a lot on my list yesterday. TJ can attest to this. I stayed up later than everyone in this house last night, writing a list of everything I had to do today. There was a lot of calls. I think this is my 6th Zoom today, and I'm not done. And it was a lot of like scheduling posts and people to reach out to, and also my own personal business aside from the team stuff. So when I went to bed last night, I slept so good because I already had that stuff written down. So I didn't go to bed thinking, oh crap, tomorrow I have to remember to do this. Oh my gosh. And I have to, I'm never going to remember that. And then I stay up way too late. So last night I actually wrote everything down. And then today I was checking stuff off, and even I was messaging Tammy like, oh, by the way, before I forget, because it was on my list, after this, we got to do that. And she's like, okay, got it. And then we did it. So when I got everything checked off, I felt so good. And actually it was a little overwhelming today. And I did do whatever you called it, defer. I put 2 things off until tomorrow because I my kids from school and I had only made 1 reel today. And I was like, I can't, it'll be fine until tomorrow. I picked the 2 easiest things that could wait, and they went on tomorrow. So I did all the hard stuff first. But moral of the story, it feels so good when you just check it off and you just know you've done all your work. And now like it's nighttime, we're going to make dinner, going to take the dog for a walk. And I won't feel like I need to get home because I got to check more stuff off the list. It's just done. So anyway.
That's exactly why having the list next to your calendar. So you stayed on task all day. I was on these Zooms with Sam, or whatever they're called. She was at every single one. So she knew where to be because she had it in her calendar. When she wasn't on the Zoom, she knew what she needed to get done, because last night she wrote down all the things that needed to happen. That's why the list next to your calendar is so important. And you guys, I have multiple checklists. Obviously we have the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That is a version of a checklist. We have the just stuff that needs to be done today. And then we have our auto bonus bootcamp checklist for like the week. Like I have a ton of lists, and they're all right here next to my planner. They're all in my planner with me. But because I have my calendar and I know where I'm supposed to be at what time and where I'm supposed to be showing my face, when I'm not in that moment, when I wasn't at the dermatologist this morning, I knew I could do things off my list. And so some of that list was my home list. Some of that list was my Lavelle list. You've got to have your list, because here's the thing, the list, that's your goals. The stuff that Sam was referring to that felt good to check off, it feels good because it's her goal. If she was checking off a bunch of stuff, like I ran to the store and got this for my grandma because she wanted it, and I had to go over here and do a live for this lady because she asked me about it, that doesn't feel quite as good. When you mark that shit off, you're like, I'm glad I'm done with that. Now I can work on my business. But when you sit down tonight before you go to bed and you list all the things you want to accomplish, and then tomorrow morning you look at that list and you're like, okay, I'm going to eat the frog. I'm going to do the one thing on here I dread the most, or that's going to be the hardest or take the longest. And then as she got through her day, there was 2 things that weren't pressing or dire, and she could defer them to tomorrow because she'd already accomplished so much. But how many things on her to-do list which she had not gotten if she hadn't had it next to her and hadn't thought about it and written it down? Because you know that feeling, you're like, I can't forget tomorrow. I gotta call Sheila tomorrow. Write that shit down. You'll be surprised. It's really easy to remember to call Sheila tomorrow because you have it next to your calendar. So, okay, that's enough. The dog has to be, and we have another Zoom with Shantae after this. So anyway, it was lovely seeing all of you. I'm going to stop the recording so that we can upload this. And then Shantae and Samantha, I will send you another link because I don't think I sent that yet. Okay, bye.